Welcome to More Bread, Please. My name is Marcus. I will be your lead server. If we haven't been with us before, welcome. For today's special, we are serving up some truth. Our main course today is the customer is not always right. For dessert, we will share some of our favorite stories of horrible people in the restaurant industry. My serving partner, as always, is Tanya, my service assistants. Matt, aka Miller, and Jake will be my server assistants. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey.
Hi. Hello.
I love this. I'm so excited.
I feel like I see you guys every day, and now you're at my house. It's a little weird.
Pumped to be here. I mean,
we worked together like, what, 12 hours ago?
We were together 10 hours.
We're together like
ago.
22 and a half hours.
Yeah.
I tried to hide for like an hour and a half.
He tries.
But anyways, we're here to talk about restaurants and what we have to deal with all the time and how the customer is not always right and how we deal with shitty customers all the time. I mean, specifically 2 nights ago for us. Miller, were you were there, weren't you?
Yeah, unfortunately.
So Jake,
He was closing that night.
Oh yeah, definitely.
this is a rough story. It's a shit story, literally. And when the shit hit the fan, literally the shit hit the fan.
It just spiraled.
It just spiraled from there. But yeah, Jake, you weren't there that night. So I had a customer.
Glad for
and
it.
I'm serving him. He's like a super sweet old man. He was like, I'm just trying to treat myself to a nice dinner, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I'm going to a show. I was like, all right, cool. So I get him a steak and hash browns, and he starts eating it, and then he like slows down and he starts to fall asleep at the table. I'm like, what is wrong with this dude? So I'm like, I go up to the table. I'm like, hey man, do you want me to box it up? He's like, no, I just want to eat a couple more bites. I was like, all right, dude, take your time, no rush. Like, I'm just chilling. So I come back. I go to the kitchen, come back. He's like, where's the bathroom? I tell him where the bathroom is. He gets lost halfway to the bathroom. And I guess at this point, he had to go to the bathroom so bad that like he accidentally pooped at his
He
pants.
accidented.
And all over the floor. And nobody realized until we started smelling it. And we were all thought the sewage was backing up. Little did we know
bathroom had overflowed.
this guy had shit himself on the way to the bathroom. And then I went and got the manager. I was like, bro, you got to do something. This shit's crazy. Like it smells like shit.
Literally.
Yeah, no.
It literally smells like shit. So one guy comes flying out of the bathroom. He's like, hey, my man, there's shit on the floor in the bathroom. I'm like, dude, that's why my manager that's walking right next to you is going to clean that up. We've already been informed. We had to move
rather the
4 tables.
Than
We had to move 4 tables because where he like shit was right in the middle of 4 tables, and everybody was like freaking out, and like some of the people were like could have been walking in it. I'm not sure, but dude, it was rough. And then everything just
a server assistant definitely walked through it.
It just spiraled from there. The steaks coming out well done when they're supposed to be medium. It was just wow.
Tables getting ignored for 17 minutes. You know, it's a great time.
17 minutes for a wait.
Yeah.
Or just to be even talked to.
Just to be talked to. Oh, it was wild. But I mean,
now is that a server issue? Was that the 17 minutes somebody just forgot?
it was a server issue.
Yeah, it was
that
definitely a server
which
issue.
does happen, unfortunately.
Yeah. He
Sometimes.
just thought that it wasn't his table, and it was for sure his table.
But in those
Tough.
situations, the customer is right because you should never have to
The
wait.
customer is right.
I mean,
You should never wait 17 minutes for someone to acknowledge your presence.
Agreed. What's the cap? There? Like
I think
Technically-
2 minutes.
What's the par?
Yeah.
Well, no. I think it's
it's
1. I think you're right.
It's supposed to be.
Not 45 seconds.
And that is a
It's
policy.
a
I think it's
CN
supposed to be under.
I thought it was 90 seconds.
Some places.
Regardless, it's a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
Because I remember Josh making me stand there for a whole minute when I was server training. And I was like, what are you doing? He's like, we're just going to stand here. I was like,
I mean,
okay.
obviously you
And
don't
he's
want to
like,
like.
that's how long that is a minute. He was like, that is a long time. So like greet your guests as fast as you can.
When it feels
But-
so much longer.
Got it.
Yeah, but it
waiting
feels so
on
much
something
longer for
like
the
that,
guests
you know?
because they're
Yeah.
just like, well, what am I doing? Like,
Why am I just
hello?
standing here?
why am I just standing here?
Or sitting here?
So then 17 minutes goes by. Then can we speak to managers? And at a point, like, I think at 5 minutes, I'll be like, hey, like, I don't know if you guys are obviously busy. Like, what's going on? Like, I'm here for it.
Yeah,
But also,
I wouldn't
we're
wait
servers.
that
So
long.
like, we understand that. Most people do not. They're like, in, now.
Yeah.
Oh, I would have
Yeah.
lost my. I would have, as a server, I would have gotten angry after 17 minutes. I would have been like, my entire meal is free. Like, maybe not my entire meal, but like, I legit would have been like, my drinks are free. Like, you are going to fix this because I have been ignored for almost 20 minutes. minutes.
Yeah.
We'll be having some free apps.
Right.
Probably.
Like, because-
Apps on y'all.
I mean, if you think about it, that's a long time to just be sitting there watching other tables get
waited on.
Mhm.
Yeah. But I mean, then of course you also have the same people that like get upset when you're clearly talking to another table
Mm.
and you haven't been able to greet them yet because you're in the middle of talking to another table.
Mhm.
And then they're like, finally, or something like that. And it's just like,
that's like, stop being
I'm
a
so
smart ass.
sorry.
I hate
Like
it.
you obviously do not see I'm taking care of other tables. Like
Especially when your section's small and you literally just turn around and they're like,
Right.
where were you?
I don't know.
I
Where
don't
was
know.
I? You've been staring at my
I
ass
don't
for
The banquettes.
Yeah.
those poor banquettes. But well, yeah, no, it's just one of those things where it's like obviously there's a proper amount of time.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, it's like if you clearly see, it's one thing if like your section's spread out. Like if you know, if you're in a bar area and you're taking care of one table on one side of the room, obviously the other table on the other side of the room does not know that you're at another table. But like if you're in a small section where it's like 4 booths right next to each other, I'm not
Literally.
just like
you see
sitting
what
in
I'm
the,
doing.
right.
Like,
I'm not just standing in the back like on my phone texting. You know, I'm doing
Yeah,
my job.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just like, and especially with that, and then arguing with them. Like, I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. Like,
Mm-mm.
you're not right in this situation. Like, I'm trying to work. Just let me turn around,
Right.
help you. If you start being an asshole, I start being an asshole. Then I just ruin the entire night.
Oh yeah, he's the best at just giving it right back to him.
I'm like, dude, I'm not playing this game.
He and I are very opposites in the sense that like
I don't care to lose my job.
he just like gives the attitude right back to him. I'm the one that's like kill him with kindness. Like you hear my pitch go up a little bit and you hear me just yeah, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Like
Yeah,
I don't
definitely.
get that.
Definitely more of a diffusive
Yeah.
technique. That's what I do too, for sure. Yeah, you got to kind of match their energy a little bit, but not overreact because then they
Especially-
freak out further.
Yes, because especially if you know they're wrong.
Mhm, mhm.
Especially if you know they're in the wrong. Like last night, your table with your sides.
Oh my gosh. That was ridiculous. Like 11 people and they got 3 sides. And I was like, I'm going to make the executive decision to give them 2 more sides. Now, granted, the sides are $16 a piece. Maybe I overstepped, but they ate all of it. I mean, I was right, but they didn't want to pay for the other 2. And then they didn't like one of the sides. So like they had to take 3 sides off technically.
Mm.
And they're like, well, we only ordered 1 of each. And I was like, you know what? You did, but obviously like you need it more than that. And I'm sorry that I made an executive decision to give you more sides. He's like, yeah, I mean, I didn't ask for these. So can you just take them off the bill? I was like, I sure can. And he's like, do you need the bill back? And I was like, nope, I've already done it. So what do you want from me? I was like, because they started arguing with me. I was like, look, dude, I really don't give a fuck. I literally will take these sides off. It's not my money. Like,
Did
stop
you say
being an
that to
asshole.
him?
Yeah,
Out
I
loud?
literally was like,
Yeah.
I will take these sides off. It's not my money.
I get real with a guest. I'm like, sometimes
you
like
have
that too. Yeah.
You have
yeah.
to. Because
Mhm.
like, if you're just going to be like, yes, sir, no, sir. Like,
Hey, y'all, I just got set with 2 tables at the same time.
Dude,
so I'm going to
it's-
have to take y'all in order, which means their food will be in front of yours most likely. I'll say things like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not like,
yeah.
not telling them necessarily, but like just letting them know how this is going to go.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and
But the voice definitely gets higher.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Too.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely, ma'am. Here you go. You know, or whatever.
And then there's Miller over here that his just accent gets thicker and
Oh,
just to like be that Southern
slows
belle
it
that
to a crawl.
They like it. That helps me a lot. I don't have
it
to give
really
it back to them.
does.
I don't have to.
let me get that for you.
You just like
Yeah,
lay it
uh-huh.
on thick and
Yes, ma'am. My pleasure. That was me last night. I was on my Chick-fil-A bullshit last night. That was my pleasure in the hell out of them.
Oh my god, my
My pleasure. I was
Chick-fil-A
wondering why you were saying
bullshit.
that. Like, I was like, why is he saying that?
Did you work at the My Pleasure Palace, Chick-fil-A?
They
Did
would
you-
not have let me in
Oh,
on that
okay,
employment
all right.
situation. I don't think I check all their boxes.
Interesting. Yeah, and they do make you check the am I gay or not box, right?
Right,
I think when
right.
you apply,
Oh,
that's
that is-
right.
Oh my God.
That is right.
I mean, it's awful.
There is a
Actually,
disclosure there.
That's a real thing. Is this actually a thing? I thought
I
we
don't
were doing a
know. I
bit.
wouldn't apply there.
Holy, that probably
No,
is a
that
thing.
really is like-
it might. Oh my
it
god.
might be.
I wouldn't have
mean,
applied there.
No, like it's true. Like
I mean, technically
Chick-fil-A
they
doesn't-
can't ask.
Yeah.
they're not allowed to ask, but they
Right, that's illegal, right?
You don't really have to ask me.
yeah.
I mean,
Hey, but some people you
My
have to
bad.
ask.
I'm just
Like,
saying.
some people you
My
do
bad.
have to ask. We've
Yeah,
talked about
absolutely.
this.
I feel
There
like if
are
there's
some
a-
people that you're clearly a homosexual.
I feel like if there's a spectrum too, there are people on the extreme ends, like people that are super
Yes.
flamboyant gay, people that are super just straight straight,
Yeah.
like that's probably
Almost
a thing
toxic.
too,
Straight, but
But then,
Yeah.
then Miller, you get sat with tables that
You don't have to ask me, but sometimes they do ask me. You know.
oh god,
Um,
your worst. That's
can I say that?
Yes.
Can I
Yeah,
say that?
absolutely.
yes.
Just when the
Sure.
table looked at me, this was during the greet. That's what always gets me about that. Like, there's no interaction so far. I'm
Wow.
greeting this table. We're discussing drink options. I'm looking at seat 1, seat 3. So you a fag then?
Oh,
That's-
Oh.
And that's his phrasing like that.
the
There's-
first thing he says.
That's the first thing he's actually said the whole time.
Hmm.
Like,
We're assuming he as well, or like it's
No.
safe to assume he in this
was
situation
a-
for
it was
sure.
a-
100%. Yeah.
100%,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I-
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't even believe that.
Yikes,
Like, it's
man.
wild. I wasn't
Really?
even there that night, but she told me, like, when she came home, she's like, "You will never
I
believe
was-
what happened."
I mean, obviously, like, I grew up very conservative Baptist, so it wasn't necessarily instilled in me to be a very loving and accepting person, even though isn't that very hypocritical, because of like being in musical theater and like being around people that are on the LGBTQIA spectrum. It hurt me, not only as just like a human being and like the fact that like we're friends,
Yeah.
but it was just like, I just can't I just can't fathom someone thinking that it's okay to say something like that to a complete stranger.
No,
Yeah.
that's what I didn't get.
And it hurt my heart. First of all, that you didn't even barely flinch, because then of course you know that that's happened to you before.
Yeah, that wasn't my first time with that one.
Right. And
For
it
sure.
just I came home in a tizzy.
I mean, I've had fag written in on like a tip line.
Jesus,
It's good stuff. I don't understand. I mean, people just
dude.
It's just sad. It's just sad.
People
You would
are
think
petty.
in 2023 it
Hurts
would,
me.
we would just be a little bit better than that, but
Yeah.
we're
But
not
you know
yet.
what makes it
You
all
know,
better?
we're not
That
yet.
our GM went and asked the most genius question, which I didn't even know this was a thing.
Yeah.
He asked,
He pulled his friend aside.
he pulled his friend aside and he was like, "Hey, is your friend mentally handicapped?"
It's a
Who
very
would
good
think
question.
to say that?
Very good question.
I wouldn't think to say that.
I
Very good
definitely
question.
would have just been like, get the
Get-
fuck out.
yeah,
Like-
get out of my
I
restaurant.
had no questions
Yeah.
asked. I would have just been like, you can fucking leave.
Mhm.
But the fact that he had to ask that was covering his bases.
Yes.
And the guy was like, "No." And he's like, "All right, then you need to pay and get out of my restaurant."
Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
Well, and here's my thing. First of all, I have to applaud you, Matt, for you were just going to take him and not even tell anybody it happened. Like, you weren't going to tell
Oh, yeah, I mean,
management it happened. You were just going to like let it lie. And
But you told one person.
yeah, that's all it took.
That's all it
That's
took.
all it took.
You took one person, told one person, and that person
There was definitely
Got
a
fired up.
shift in
momentum.
in me when he said that. Walked away, and that's all it asked. One person, well, what happened?
right.
Well,
Yeah,
let me
well,
tell you.
God, I
Next thing
just.
you know, everybody's walking by the table, like
Oh, we all did. We all walked past that table and gave like, you can go burn in hell. Like, you know.
Stank eyes. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, well, it just,
They deserved it. Yeah.
I told management to just let me keep the table after they asked me what he had said.
yeah.
I said, I literally just want to wait on them
I mean,
Take
yeah,
their
get him out.
money
Get him in and out.
and get them out of here and move on with my night.
because you're a
And-
professional. You're keeping it at that professional level. No matter how they, acting, you're going better than that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah.
I don't want them to have that much access to me.
Yeah. Fair.
Right.
That's
That's
fair.
not.
And that's
they don't
fair.
get that from me.
Yeah.
Like, they don't deserve
mhm.
that.
In a sense, it's not even like Matt they're talking to, right? It's just like you're just a server, like in this situation. I think like
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I one of the things that I really enjoy about working in a restaurant is that I don't feel like married to this job.
I know.
I don't-
That's what
yeah.
I love
I make
about it
good
too.
money,
That's what I love about it
and
too.
I make enough money to live my life
Mhm.
and enjoy my life,
Mhm.
and I don't have to be
And
not
honestly,
committed to.
I think that's what
this
like
path.
I feel like also a lot of creative people are in the industry.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
we're trying,
For
this is
sure.
not our full time
Yeah.
thing. We're trying to do something completely different, but like we need this to fulfill our lives, like pay for
Mhm.
stuff.
Mhm.
And so like I used to be so good at job hopping, and then I just eventually get tired of job hopping through like serving industries. But you realize like how many people you get to meet. For Jake and me, example, like I trained him at his first job ever serving, and then come years later, I'm training him at the server job that I'm at now, and it's like a full like, bro, this is crazy.
Full circle.
I don't
and
think I
just-
knew that.
Yeah,
Oh,
the very first
yeah.
restaurant I worked at, which I'll say
Yeah,
the name of, and
yeah,
then we
it
can
was-
just
it's
get
fine.
rid of. Yeah, Mellow Mushroom was where he and I met there back in 2013.
13,
Started at
yeah.
the divinity school back then. Was doing the pastor thing, and that's when I met him. Yeah,
Okay.
he trained me to be a
Hmm.
Jacob
trained me
was
at
a
the
That was here in
restaurants.
Nashville.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
completely different person.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's
You know,
wild to me.
I would like
He's
to
grown
think
up a
I'm,
lot.
I would
He's
like to
grown up a
think
lot.
that I'm exactly the same person. I
You
just,
are.
yeah,
You are.
know, some of
no,
those
yeah.
And a
ideas
different
changed for
ideas,
sure.
yeah, for
but
sure.
I would like to say I've always given off the same kind of vibe and energy.
You are the
Maybe
same.
you can speak to
the
that.
same
I don't know.
energy you've
Yeah.
been like since I've known you. Then I mean, obviously we
Just
didn't talk
different personal details.
For
Exactly.
sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Jobs change, ideas change.
But I love
Yeah.
it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love to see your
Thank
growth
you,
from
man.
where you started to where you are now.
Yeah.
So it's
I'm-
cool to see that. But what
Um,
jobs have you worked at, Miller?
Like, what's your
What other
serving?
restaurants?
Yeah.
Well, like, what's your serving experience? Like
Like,
what
when did you
kind
start
of
serving?
restaurants? Like, how long have you been doing
I was 19. I'm 27 now.
it? Okay.
Oh, so you've
like
been.
So almost 10 years, yeah.
The original goal was to never have to renew. Well, actually, the original goal was to do it for a year, and then
Yeah.
I told myself I would never renew my ABC card.
I'm right. I got to do that in
That was my deadline to get a new job.
by
Yeah. Hitting that
August or
5 year.
October for me this year.
Mhm.
And I when I went and got it last time, I was like, I'm not going to renew this motherfucker. I'm not doing it. And they're like, hey, just to let you know, your ABC
Your
license
ABC
is
card.
expiring this year. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like now, I am glad we don't have to sit in that 5-hour class. We just have to sit on a computer for 5
Yeah, you did
hours
it online.
and do it online.
And barely pay attention to it. I literally did it on a shift when I worked at my last job.
Those
You got that stuff
questions don't
memorized
change.
at this-
It's
yeah.
like-
They're
It's
Well,
a-
always the same questions.
I've never had to do one.
Oh, really?
Well, in New York,
Huh.
you know,
They didn't require
They
them
don't
in
make you do
Florida
that. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Indiana had to do one.
I've only served in Tennessee, so yeah.
New York and Missouri, neither one.
I moved down to Florida and I told them I had my ABC permit, and he asked me what that meant.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's
not a
not-
There's
normal thing.
ABC
They
stores
didn't
down there.
do
What do you
that.
like that?
There
That's
are
Like
ABC
the
stores in
liquor
Florida.
permit
Yeah.
though.
It's not the
didn't-
same.
You don't
That's-
have to, I didn't
Yeah,
have to have
no.
that for them.
I didn't even have to
get
go
like a
through, like-
Florida permit for that. He didn't ask me to see that. Nothing.
Yeah, I had to get I had to get an Oregon one. I've got an Indiana one, and then Tennessee. I've gotten like 3 times now.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh.
They're good for 5
Huh.
years.
Well, no, this will be my 3rd time.
Yeah.
So the first one I got, they obviously like last 5 years. So
Mhm.
I mean, but
When
still,
my first one was expiring, I told myself I wasn't going to renew it and I was going to go do something else.
but then
And
where'd you go after that job?
I was at Jay's
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
yeah.
So how
Expired.
long were you
So-
at Jay's?
about 4.5 years.
Okay. So
Oh,
about
yeah.
half your serving career then.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not a job hopper.
No, but like what was that like watching? Because I'm sure you watched management change. I'm sure you watched like,
I probably had about 6 management teams
oh,
there.
Wow,
In
that's a
4
lot of time.
years?
4.5 years. Yeah.
God.
The GM stayed consistent the whole
Oh,
time.
okay.
She's been the GM there for 10 years. I don't know.
that feels a little
Like,
better.
Yeah.
she owns that store. That's hers. That's her child. That
Okay.
belongs to her. It will not be taken from her. The last manager who went to HR about her was sent to Pennsylvania to work at another restaurant in the
Oh.
corporation.
Wow.
So
Well, okay then.
Yeah, she
kinda one of
she
those.
runs it.
Like, yeah, like
She's
that's
the-
hers.
she's the
and
mob boss.
You just won't be removing her from that.
Interesting.
What part?
You will be removed if you try to
Yeah,
remove her.
really. That's how that works. Yeah.
yeah.
What was the clientele like there?
Old money.
Old money. Yeah.
Mostly. In the beginning,
Where
it
were
was
you?
old money.
Where
Belmead.
in? Okay.
I was in West
Oh.
Nashville.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you
Middle
go.
Belmead.
Oh, yeah.
That restaurant's been there
That makes
for
sense.
33 years,
Oh,
32
yeah.
years.
Oh God, yeah.
And they've been going there as long as it's been open.
That's
Oh my
wild.
gosh.
So obviously, your first job was Melon Mushroom,
Mm-hmm.
and then I remember you leaving and going to Burger
Up.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, I was there as an SA for like 8 or 9 months.
Like they have essays at Burger Up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not familiar with that.
Burger Up.
I'm
It's
not
just
either.
Go
like
ahead,
a
you worked there.
really good burger spot in Nashville, and I would
I remember you were
still
super
give
excited.
mad props to that place, to be honest. Even though, yeah, I only worked there for 8 or 9 months. It's great.
Yeah, towards the end
Um,
of Mellow, you started to get real excited about Burger Up, and I was like, we're just in such a good part of town to make money, but
yeah,
like,
it was
it
right
just-
by Vanderbilt. Yeah.
well, then it just got crazy. But he left at a good time. But I remember you being so excited about going
I
to
think
Burger
for
Up.
me at the time too, like I was still, I just wanted to do a serving job that like was a little more kind of foodie, you know what I mean? Barely more foodie. Like they source their stuff locally. They like,
yeah,
and Mello
yeah.
had really good quality too, I would say too, as far as sourcing and that sort of thing, more so than other big companies.
Yeah.
But I think that's why I originally went to Burger Up, and I like the food, and they like cut the fries by hand and blah, blah, blah. That was years ago. You know, they were already doing that stuff, which is now Nashville's of course like a foodie town for sure.
Literally.
Yeah.
But back then that was still kind of cutting edge, and it was small owned too. It was a single owner of just that place. I think now she also owns Josephine. I could be wrong.
Mm,
So
nice.
she's doing work. Yeah. And it is good restaurants. But,
And a she.
Yeah. You know, she be slaying.
Yeah.
Seriously, honestly. But yeah, boss bitch. but
Yeah.
that's okay to say,
Love
right?
it.
Yeah. And then what was after that? Jay's after that, but the one on West End. And all of this was while I was
So
still
you
like
guys worked at Jay's
Oh,
separate.
you did Redlands.
West End, not Redlands, basically. Yeah.
How was that clientele? Because
You
West
know-
End's changed a lot.
You
over
know,
the last
it was
handful.
yeah. Are we
Yeah.
talking demographics? Are we talking clientele? Let's see.
Any and
was
all, I guess. I mean,
Touristy a little bit, not really. We would get like some people like usually coming to like Vanderbilt stuff, and then like
Right.
anytime there was a Vanderbilt game, we were like ate up, super busy.
they couldn't get into Stony River, so they came to Redlands.
And exactly, and still I would say kind of old money as well, like during the day. Exactly.
Like,
I mean,
couldn't
really,
get-
that's
they
just
couldn't
so
get into the Stony River.
No.
It's
Sorry,
hilarious.
there's a lot of money at Vanderbilt too. That's where.
Yeah.
And they're just wasting it. And they want a good steak and potatoes or whatever.
That's still West Nashville, so I mean, it's still like
Yeah. And so it was a lot of that. But then it was also like, folks about to go to the club,
Right.
during the middle of the week or whatever. They would
Correct.
come in first, have dinner, nice steak dinner and go out. And to be honest, I got tipped pretty well most of the time by those folks. But yeah, it was a crowd
yeah.
for sure. Yeah. And they started serving sushi during that time, which was such a weird.
It's such a weird
concept.
concept
It's good.
when restaurants go from
It
like
was good food.
like making sushi, pizza, like
we did pizzas.
Y'all did pizzas?
Y'all
I
did
didn't-
sushi. We did pizzas.
Oh, that's what they were just trying shit because so the
We-
test kitchen was in Jay's.
we
the
got
one I worked
a-
at Redlands.
we had a rotisserie.
Uh-huh.
And they
I'm sorry.
removed the rotisserie, put it in the back, and they craned in a
pizza oven.
pizza oven.
Oh,
Interesting.
And then the pizzas were fine. There was no profit there, so they hated everything about it.
You gotta have profit.
But it brought people in more. I mean,
Yeah.
the profit
Yeah, but
margins
the-
were very
the-
low, so
I
they
see.
weren't very into that.
Yeah.
you have to like prep the dough. You have to like do all kinds.
Oh, absolutely.
Like if you want to make the dough by hand, it's a lot of work. Like, dude, I don't know if you've been to Desano's, but like you should see
It's probably a lot of work. Yeah.
they have like 4 wood fire ovens and they're wood fire.
Physical work. Yeah.
Physical work, but like to make the dough, they have a whole entire room dedicated to dough. I mean, you remember like walking into the walk-in at Mellow and being like, dude, there's like, they did frozen dough. Like they made it at a factory
Yeah.
and they
Oh,
brought it in. But I mean, it was the same
that's not that
recipe that like they
surprising.
started with originally. But you would have to like thaw them and like let them sit in the rack. So they would do one rack like this and another rack, and then it'd be all the way up sitting with just dough in the walk-in for 24 hours. And so like I feel like at Jay's, like how did you guys like?
we
that-
went through a lot of pizza bitches. They called themselves that, just to clarify.
Interesting. No, I love it. I love it.
Oh my
I didn't
God.
know that was a
We did
thing.
not give them that name. They
Uh-huh.
called themselves that. We
The
went through a
pizza
lot of
bitches?
pizza bitches. That was their
Man.
whole. They got
The
there at
pizza
6
bitches.
a.m.
Awesome.
prep, did all that daily thing, and then at night there's always somebody dedicated to cooking the pizzas.
Okay.
Making the
That
pizzas.
is that
Okay.
is strictly a station for back of house.
Got it.
And
I mean, I would hope so. God,
They-
trying to like cook a stoke and a pizza at the same
Well,
time.
I've seen it
like-
happen.
like I mean, yeah, but they made the dough fresh, and all the ingredients are like flown in, most of them,
Mhm.
except for the fennel sausage, which was made in house. And
Wow.
they cared about Jay Alexander's cared about themselves a lot at one point.
I think so. And they
I've
were
never
from
been,
scratch
so-
kitchen, like back before that was like a kind of a
When I started
super
there, the only
accepted
thing we
you know?
got brought in was bread.
Yeah.
And that was from a bakery delivered 6 days a week. And that's because
Mhm.
they were only open 6 days a week.
Yep.
And the only thing frozen was French fries.
Yeah.
Did you
yeah.
have any complaints about the pizza?
Not really. Burnt. That was usually if there was
I
a
mean,
pro-
as
if there was
always,
a problem,
burnt.
it was burnt. That's why, because it's the pizza that really the crust bubbles
Yeah, 'cause
up.
it's a
big
They're
wood-
not
little
used
bubbles,
to.
and
Yeah.
it's charred. Yeah,
It's
it
charred,
chars
yeah.
and pops, and it's
Yeah.
not the pizza's not burnt. You just don't
It's
really.
just charbroiled.
You don't know what you've ordered.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's half the battle. I feel like with people is they don't actually know what they want or what they've.
Did you
Ah,
ever
that's-
argue with them or
you're
see
right.
an argument like happen with the customer about it? Because usually the manager's like, "Oh, I'll just take it back, whatever."
Yeah,
Like, they don't really care.
Our management wasn't. They're not into arguing with people. They don't care about it that much.
I feel like that's the one thing like with customers is like, just take it off the bill. The manager does
Yeah.
not care. He's like, if your guest is going to leave happy, just take it off the bill.
Most of the time, yeah.
When we first started serving,
It was
At
like
this
my
place.
first big table. This woman, like, again, as a woman, you try to be really understanding with women, but some middle-aged women are just very particular.
Mhm.
They're very like, this is how I want it. This is how it should be, all that stuff. Well, it was like a table of like 10 people. It was like literally one of my first shifts without a trainer. And it was my first big table, like actual big table. And they ordered a bottle of wine and it wasn't the wine that they wanted, or it tasted bad or something like that. And so that like started it off, you know, horribly.
It's probably like pre-corked and then just like vinegar, like or sat too long in the air, too much air got in it.
Yeah.
It's probably like too vinegary for them.
But that just started the table off terribly. But they also came in very close to close and sat around for a very long time, didn't want to order, all that stuff. And it just like, I just felt like anything and everything that I did was just like not right.
Yeah.
For this particular woman.
Mm.
Like most of the ladies at the table were very nice. And the ones that like drank the wine didn't even like have an issue.
Mhm.
It was just the woman who was paying. And it was just like, granted, like obviously like you don't want to pay for something that like wasn't great. But at the same time, like the people that drank it and like dealt with it didn't care. Why do you? Especially if you're the kind of person that's like, money is no like issue. And it's like, oh, it was just so frustrating. But I got very upset because then they like tried to order dessert and all the pantry
Super
ladies were gone.
upset.
All the pantry ladies were gone.
That sounds right.
And like the entire kitchen, because it was like 45 minutes after close. So the kitchen was completely shut down. Everybody was gone. And
Which guests never understand, and they should. But
Right.
they never understand. They're like,
And then they
whatever.
were like, well, we want dessert. And so I told them, okay, you can do cheesecake, carrot cake, chocolate cake, key lime pie. Because those are things that I can reach into the walk-in and get myself.
Just grab a slice.
Mhm.
I'm
and
not
call it
going to
a
make
day.
you creme brulee. I'm not going to
No.
make you Zeppelis. Like, you know, it's like, I'm not doing that for you. And so she didn't want any of those. And so then when I brought the bill, she had a conniption and like demanded to speak to my manager and the essays had already dumped the coffee. And so like, I couldn't like offer them coffee and all this stuff. And it was just like, again, it was like my first table. I felt like a failure. I felt like I did something wrong when I didn't do anything wrong. And when you're first starting out somewhere new, you still feel like you have something to prove to people.
course,
And
of course.
at that time,
Absolutely.
like we had a manager who kind of was a little judgy and like,
He was very judgy.
and so I just didn't want to hear it from him. Honestly, she just like, and this lady fucking drug me through the mud
Literally.
to my manager and was like, she did this wrong and this wrong and this wrong. And she did this and blah, blah, blah. And she gave us an attitude. And I just started crying. Like, because
Table side?
no.
Oh.
Well, I mean, it was
I was
on
like,
the
oh.
table was on table side, but she was in the server
Okay.
alley,
I was in the server alley and I was crying.
crying hard. I was like,
Because I
"Jeez."
didn't understand why like they were being so mean and like they didn't have any issues during the service, but then now all of a sudden they have the bill and they like everything is wrong with the bill and all
That's
this
why
stuff.
They got the bill and they saw how expensive it was.
Yeah.
Buyer's
Yeah, it's a good
remorse
theory.
for sure.
For a 10
Yeah.
top table, you
Buyer's
know, it was
remorse.
Mhm.
well over $1,000. And I just like, I was upset.
And this manager was like, "Stop crying!"
Literally started yelling at me while I'm crying.
And
I don't understand why you're crying. Like, you need to stop crying. I don't deal with crying. And it's just like, first of all, that's the wrong thing to say to somebody that's crying.
Uh-huh.
100%.
Also, a lot of servers cry.
Right.
Yeah,
I've seen
like-
that so much in the industry.
100%.
If you've been in for a
If you
few
get mad
years.
enough, you'll cry
Yeah.
Lots of tears.
Yeah.
because you're like,
And-
I'm trying not to get fired. I'm about
Uh-huh.
to throw
Right,
fucking
and
hands, and I will like cry before I throw hands.
Mhm.
Right. And so it was just one of those things. Like, granted, like the manager did have my side in it. In the end, he was like, do you see this card? Like,
This
this
is my
card
favorite
is a
quote.
magic card and it takes off whatever and anything that I want it to take off. And it's not a big deal. He was like, this magic card is to save all of us. And it was like,
It's the most real thing I've ever
It's
heard.
the-
I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
I respect, like,
That's
he
real
just
as
like
fuck.
freaked out on her and said, "Stop crying." He said that, and I was like, I can respect that.
And then I like stayed in the server alley until they left.
She made everybody do everything else.
I literally was like, I'm not going back out there. And it was just like, from then on, I was just so guarded when it came to like I was very nervous around big top tables from then on because that was like my first.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm fine. But like, it was just one of those things where it was just like, you know, you do everything. You think you do everything right. And you think you know.
Well, and you probably did to every other guest there, but the host is like trying to put on this show of like wealth or whatever, and you're messing up their show of extravagance.
Right.
You stupid servant. You know?
Right.
Oh my God, literally.
That's what's going through their head, right?
Yeah.
We've been there.
Well, and it's just like, you know, I don't know. It was just one of those things where I was just like, you are so wrong in this sense.
Of course. Yeah.
And of course, like the two ladies that were drunk on the end that were the ones drinking the wine, and like they like specifically made me come back over to the table, and they were like,
oh yeah,
and like comforted me and
I'm
was
sure.
like,
They're embarrassed.
There it is.
They're embarrassed.
And
they
had a
were
good
They're
time.
embarrassed for
they
her.
had a
Probably.
great time. They were so
Which is the
upset that like
point.
she caused a
Yeah.
stink and like all this stuff, and it was just like they were so sweet, and it was one of those things where it was just like I couldn't differentiate who was wrong.
Mm.
And like, because I mean, obviously, like this was like over a year ago, so I can't even remember all the details of it. But it was just like so traumatizing in the
Mhm.
moment because we all try so hard. Like, I mean, our restaurants don't pay us to work there.
No,
Our
not at all.
clientele pays us to work there.
Yeah,
Because-
so that,
$2.13 an hour to the uninitiated. I'm sure you've said
Oh,
that at some
we
point
did
on the
say
podcast.
it last
but
episode,
that needs
yes.
to be out there if
Right,
it's not.
if not.
Yeah.
213.
Yeah.
And my company pays me $2.13. That is the Tennessee minimum.
Which
It's
also
tipped
doesn't
wage.
cover taxes, so immediately we're losing money.
Oh,
Right.
immediately.
Like, already we're behind. Yeah.
you almost get emotionally tied to essentially the money or essentially the
Yeah.
table because you're like,
I'm definitely
This is-
emotionally tied to the money.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
absolutely.
100%.
but like you're trying to make that guest happy because that's the only way they can give you money if they're happy.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
Mhm.
and it's just like I got to be extra. I got to be on my shit. And then I saw this on a TikTok recently. I think it was when, and they're actually in our group chat
Mm.
about the you just got to be an asshole. You just got to be an asshole
I
right
said
back.
that one, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
there was a Huddy, I think
Yeah,
is his name.
Bistro Huddy.
Sure, Huddy.
That guy,
dude,
listen,
Yeah.
shout
So
out to
funny.
that dude
Shout out.
because he
because he
is
hits
Good
every
content.
spot on the
Yeah.
server. Like,
every side of it,
anyways,
honestly.
he was like, you just got to be an asshole. How do you be an asshole to a table? You be an asshole,
Yeah, he was.
and they
like,
love it.
Why do you?
Some people love it.
Some servers can't get away with it.
No, because
There are certain servers that like if you're an asshole to a table, you're not the right kind of asshole and it's not funny. You're just being a dick, like, or a bitch. Like
Mhm.
but I feel like I get away with it pretty easily.
it's
Good for
Usually,
you.
most
Yeah.
of the time, I'm super nice and I'll make anything happen. But as soon as that guest is like, "Hey, you did something wrong," no, actually, I didn't. But I would admit if I did, and I did make a mistake, and now you're just being an asshole. Like
Yeah.
I've had people be like, "Well, I hope we're getting a comp." I'm like, dude, I don't give a shit. I will take everything off this bill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I
yeah.
don't
Not
care.
my money. Don't care.
I was in the bar one night, and these ladies of four, they were having a great time. Their salads came out on time. I got them bread. They got wine, and then all of a sudden their food comes out. It's all cold. Steaks, lobsters, like every single bit of it's cold. You know what they do? They take it back, put it in the broiler for like 2 minutes, put it back out of the table. They touch that, and they're like, "Excuse me, sir, our food is cold. This is ridiculous." And I went, "Look, they obviously didn't heat it back up. I will take everything off this bill. What do you want me to do?" I'm like, "Do you want more food? Do you want me to have it remade? I don't care. Like, just tell me what you want and I'll get it done." And they're like, "No, we just want to speak to our manager." And then I was like, "Well," I told the manager, I was like, "You're gonna have to take everything off that bill." And then they talked to the manager and they were fine. And then they were like, "Well, we'll pay for our salads and wine." The manager comped the entire table. $560 table just comped.
When
Tip.
they offered to pay for their wine and their
Yeah. The
that's
manager
kind of a silly move on the manager's part.
the
I would
manager was like,
say.
"I'm just comping everything." I was
Yeah.
like,
huh?
Did they tip you
"Yeah." They actually Venmoed me.
accordingly?
Very nice.
They could have done better.
Yeah.
It was like 18%.
You
But
can
still,
always-
I mean, 18% on $560 is like,
Take it. Yeah.
take it.
When you
like,
paid for
Better
nothing.
than nothing. Sometimes
Well-
dude just
Literally.
gets
You
stiff.
would have
Sometimes
spent
you get zeros.
$560
Oh,
literally.
minimum without a tip.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, obviously, like tipping is just an American thing.
yeah.
So then, of course, you have tables like we had a colleague last night who had a table of people not from America, and they tipped her a single $1.
$1 hair.
Yep.
And it was a
$6
6-top
bill.
table. And
God.
I
These
mean,
other countries have, just like so many more things
think
to supplement the
Germany
wage.
and Ireland
They actually pay. I was gonna say they actually pay
yeah.
their.
That too, they actually
pay
pay
their
them.
employees.
Yeah.
You know.
and so you don't have to tip.
Yeah.
Like you don't have
But
to
we
tip.
have to.
Right.
we have to.
Because that's, well, and I think that started back when like everybody had a different point of view, like back then, like when it came to servers, because it was kind of like you're welcome for waiting on me. Like,
You're doing
here's
great.
this for
Here's
you.
this
You
extra
know,
money.
like,
Yeah.
because it was more of like this is your worth to me.
Yeah.
Like your service, this is what your service is worth.
I see. Yeah.
And it was more of like I don't think the gap, the money gap was so big between like what they earned,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
as a wage and what they got tipped. I don't think like, I mean, and I may be wrong. And that's something that we could definitely like
Look up.
look into like history wise. But I just, nowadays people think that they're like, I see so many comment threads and stuff on Facebook or, you know, Instagram or whatever, where like people think, well, I don't have to tip you. Well,
Oh.
technically,
Mhm.
yes, you do.
Mhm.
You have to pay for your service.
Yeah.
Like there's a difference between you paying your bill, which is your bill for your food, and your tip, which is your service.
That's a great way to
Literally.
put it. Yeah.
Like it should honestly be put more as a service fee than it should be.
Well, that's
or
like
like
what
a
resorts
tip.
and stuff do.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
they're
It's-
guaranteed. They're getting tipped. Like it's
Yeah.
not
100%.
Well, that's like
no
when,
option.
when we used to cater at our
Yeah.
old job. Like it was literally put in the bill. Well, I mean, granted, like this was just for to cover our wage. Everybody on their BEO paid $25 per server that was going to be
Mm.
there that night.
Oh, okay.
And that covered our wage, even though we only made $9 an hour, mind you.
Yeah. So those tips, we were
Um,
like really hoping for those tips. That like when we did the catering got done, it's like hope for a little grease.
That's right.
Yeah. And then it was an automatic 17% gratuity. And that was
Good.
like
I mean-
expected. Like you
You paid that. That's what
You
you were.
paid that.
You were
like
guaranteed that.
there was
Yeah.
no wiggle room on that. I mean, just like where we work now, like when you work private dining, you are guaranteed 17% gratuity.
Mhm.
Granted, 17%. I mean, if I'm giving you 25% gratuity service and you tip me 17%, like it's completely different. But it just, it's like there's just this expectation from some people out there, and not everybody, obviously, that like you don't have to tip your server. And it's like, then go
Please-
to McDonald's,
Literally,
go
please don't come out.
somewhere where like you don't have somebody waiting on you.
Yep. Yep. And I think that a lot of arguments could be made about changing the way people are paid, how much they're paid.
Yeah.
Obviously, would love to have those conversations. But for right now, the system we're under, if you don't tip your server, you're causing them, again, to personally lose money because, as we were talking about earlier before we started taping, like, you're tipping out a lot of times at least 20% at any serving job you're
Absolutely.
at. And,
Oh,
and at
absolutely.
the current job we're at, closer to 30.
It
Well,
is
here's the-
30.
So
thought it was
when you're
over
tipping
30.
out 30% and you're only making $2 an hour and you're tipping out barbacks and essays, that's a lot of money that you're losing if somebody just gives you $0 on a table
You're
of
actually paying-
$1,000 bill, right? Where there's
Right.
10 people or 12,
Well, and that,
Sorry, go
yeah,
ahead, Marcus. I'm sorry.
And you're actually paying to have that table. So your tip like gets taken
Yeah.
off of that to be tipped out. But like, I'm glad like some places do this. I don't know if Jay Alexander's did this, but where we tip out based on how much sales we do.
3% of
remember.
sales.
Can't remember.
Sales, because
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
so glad we don't do
$3
that
for every
where we work
$100
now
worth of
because
sales.
we would have no money.
Mhm.
I think I would have to bring money to pay them to let me work.
Literally.
Right.
If we were doing it on
Sales
sales,
because
there.
we sell our food is at a high price point.
Yes.
But like with restaurants like Mellow did this. We had to
I
tip
don't
out.
remember.
We had to tip the bartender out 1% of our sales.
Okay.
But I think
I
it was
will
like
say.
3%.
Yeah.
And it was really nothing in the grand scheme of
Jay's
things.
was 3% of sales. O'Charlie's was like 2.5%.
Mm.
I will say I wish that like our bar tip out was kind of like that. Because especially like during the morning, if you work a morning shift, you have to tip out the bartender 5%, even if you had $0 in liquor
Yeah,
sales.
we actually had to have bar sales to tip those out. But like
And just to be clear, y'all were saying out of sales earlier. We tip out of sales, or
We tip out of
We tip
tips.
out of
We're
our tips.
That's right.
Tips,
So,
Yeah,
if you,
exactly.
so if you get
Okay.
stiffed where we are now, it's costing you your time, but not necessarily money.
So that's kind of better.
I think
I'm
so.
hearing an argument for
I think
that.
so.
Yeah, I don't know where I come
I
down
don't
on
get
that. I
stiffed
guess.
often, but
I
I
mean-
would
I don't
rather
either,
not
maybe
lose money because of
once.
it.
Yeah,
I will
in the 8
say-
months I've worked there.
I will say that I still look at it technically as a loss
Mm,
when I get stiffed at our job that we're at now, because
potential, sure.
I mean,
Mhm.
regardless of, I mean, obviously, like you tip 30% out of your total tips.
Mm-hmm.
So like, but if I get stiffed on a table, like I'm still like, I'm still having to, because like if we have good service, if we have
Mhm.
good essay service, we'll tip out cash.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
If you go above and beyond for me, I'm going above and beyond for you.
right.
Yeah.
But I'm not, but like if I get stiffed on a table and I still have to tip out my essay because they were incredible, like I'm losing money at that point.
Mm-hmm. Going
Because
into the
that's
negative for
that
coming
is
to work.
coming out of my pocket. And like I think of that as a loss in the sense that like, again, we only get $2.13 an hour. And if I get stiffed on 2 tables in a, 7 table night, I just lost money.
Come tax season, you lost a lot of money.
Well, not even tax
Especially
season,
then,
just
too.
come my next pay period.
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
I paid all my taxes. I paid my discount program. Like, it's
It's
just
a discount.
It's
Right.
ridiculous.
But
okay.
I mean, no, but it's just like, and I pay for a parking pass and like, like all this stuff. And if we had to go get coffee that day to come to work or an energy drink, or we didn't get family meals, so we had to pay for food, it's just,
Which
there's-
I mean, that's part of life, honestly.
Right.
But like the fact that like this table didn't tip that makes it even like, like
Percentage to tip out on credit card fees too. Somebody mentioned
Oh,
that
yes.
earlier. Insane.
did you know
We're
did
paying their
we
credit
pay
card
that-
processing fees.
Yes.
Did you know
Yes.
that? Yeah, we're
Yeah,
paying.
It's like
we're paying the
3%.
credit card
So you're
I'm
company.
losing
paying
more money?
a certain percent of
Yeah.
it. We're not paying all of it because I was like, dude, why am I paying to run a credit card?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's like
Just
No,
trying to let people know, like,
if we're
yeah,
paying for the credit
what's-
card system, I want a better credit card system.
Mm.
literally.
Well, and I have heard that it's not like that is more common than we think.
Apparently, yes.
Yes. What I've been told from other coworkers is that it is actually more common than we think.
Again, still why though?
Because the restaurant
Right,
is-
exactly.
the
like,
restaurant
you're
is-
a multi-million-dollar
Yeah.
company and you're making
Fees.
me
Yeah,
pay.
what?
Yeah.
Pay me $2 an hour.
Also, why are you
Right.
paying me $2?
Yeah, yeah, hello.
Well,
Like,
the restaurant it's meant for one thing, and it's to push food out. So like they're gonna
Sure.
pay the servers minimum wage because technically we can't work for free. Like they have to own
They
us
would
as an
love
employee.
to work us for free though.
Yeah,
Just
but
to put that in
they would
there.
love. Yes, absolutely. But their way of
They
working
can't.
us
yeah.
to get us in there is tips. Like if someone from Germany came over here and be like, I'm not working for $2.13 an hour, they wouldn't understand because like, yeah, you get a full wage.
Mhm.
we
the-
also still shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I agree because then it takes away the I mean, I don't know. Like it's here and there, but like I feel like it's more personable if you work for tips because then I'm trying to relate to you always. And I'm trying to help
Mhm.
you out always.
Yeah.
Like if I can't relate with you or like do anything with you, it's like you're just another table. But I'm always trying to connect.
You always try to find something to like.
Because I'm trying to essentially like earn that money, but also know the menu and be able to serve you what you think you want to eat, or maybe change your mind. So like it's just you want to be very personable with them. Is I guess what I'm getting
well,
down
and
to it.
oh my gosh, and also verbal tipping.
Oh, it's
Someone
the greatest.
like
Or the $100 bills with the Bible verse
that are
in the back.
actually Bible
Fake. Yeah,
verses.
the
Yes.
I've
fake
gotten some of those before. For sure.
In the sense that like,
Love
because like
that.
with verbal
Love that.
tipping, oh my gosh, you were one of the best servers we've ever had. Thank you so much for taking such good care of
You're
us.
expecting a badass tip.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you're getting complimented out the butt, like you're gonna assume, oh my gosh, I'm about to get like a 25% tip.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be one of my best tables in the night. And then they tip you 12% and you're like, wait a second.
What?
They feel
This
better.
is the
They feel
best.
better about it.
Right.
I think they
But
feel
they
better.
feel
about it.
better.
But I'm coming back, so I'll ask you.
Right.
Again. Don't
And
ask
I'm
me,
like,
please.
I have
Please don't.
literally put if I have had a table that says they're regulars, if they don't tip me right or if they stiff me, because I have had a regular stiff me. And I literally will put in their profile, do not sit with Tanya. They stiffed.
Wow.
I will
Good for
And-
you.
because I'm
I do it all
not
the time too.
oh I do
Really?
it for him because I know how to use the system.
We don't have rules, do we?
What do you mean?
At the restaurant where we're at now.
In what sense?
In terms of like
Any?
this restaurant is the most like combative, I guess I've seen servers be
I think
with
it's because-
guests
Yeah.
than anywhere else I've ever worked at.
Yeah.
Like,
Because we've gotten to a point we've dealt with the shitty customers.
like people training me to start working here, just talking shit, like telling guests, like, no, actually, that's not, like, you're wrong. You're straight up wrong.
Oh, 100%.
You're wrong.
And I'm
You're
just-
stupid and
yeah.
you're wrong, basically.
I mean,
and
I
that's
would
not
never-
how you
I
go
would-
out to eat.
Yes, but I wouldn't go to that level of be like, you're stupid, you're wrong. More like, that's not how that works, but like I
Oh
can
my God.
try to like help you.
Well, yeah, you can table talk it, but
Yeah.
they know what you're saying.
Essentially,
Right.
you're saying no.
No,
It's
and I
like
think-
when you tell me
It's a-
not
it's
to
a
say
nice way-
y'all, and instead you want me to say ladies and gentlemen.
Mhm.
But
Okay,
also at the
well.
same time, we're not allowed to say that anymore because it's not PC. So it's hello, everyone, or, you know.
How we doing, y'all?
I like
Yeah.
y'all. I think y'all is y'all
I
gets
like
everybody.
y'all.
Gets all the
It's a
genders,
Southern.
gets all the people.
And
it's
we're in
Southern.
Tennessee,
It's so
like-
good. All y'all peeps. Come on now.
Come on, all y'all.
I mean, he's
Oh,
not
it's
a
sweet tea now.
inclusive.
We know now. Everybody
Marcus
loves sweet
is,
tea.
Marcus is not a y'all person.
No.
You're not a y'all guy.
Well,
mm-mm.
so here's the thing: we grew up. My parents would ship us off to Little Rock every summer,
Yeah.
and so we picked up that Southern, like way more Southern than what Miller has. And so we come back to Indiana and then be like, "Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am," and be like, "How y'all doing?" They're like, "Who's y'all?" And who's ma'am, who's
Yeah.
miss, like
Mhm.
obviously like that Southern
That
doesn't
Fort
translate.
Indiana for you.
So how do
Doesn't
you
translate
read
to
it? You say,
Indiana.
hello, everyone. Because I guess I read the guest and then I'm like,
I
hey,
usually,
y'all, how we doing? Or
if I say y'all, I don't. I rarely say y'all. Usually, I will be like, "You all, how are you
Mhm.
all doing today?" Or like, "Are we doing all right, guys?" Like, and I've had people. I've worked with people that have had complaints about people like serving women or greeting women and be like, "How are you guys doing?"
what's up, guys? Yeah.
It's like we're not guys.
I won't say, guys. I had a man
Guys, it's
berate
just-
me for that one night.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah, because his wife was at the table.
I mean,
This was at O'Charlie's. This was years ago. I
Oh.
don't know why he felt like he was in a position to be berating somebody when he came in on a night that we served all you can eat catfish. But
Oh, God. All you
I
can eat
want my
catfish.
catfish
How
and
we
don't
doing,
call my wife a
guys?
guy.
he's like,
My wife is at the table.
this isn't, we're not guys. You shouldn't say that. We're not guys. This
Well-
is a woman. I'm like,
oh my God. I just watched an interview with Ian McClellan the other day
Mhm.
where he uses the word love for everybody.
Oh,
How
yeah.
you doing, love?
What's up, love?
What's
Yeah.
up, love? You know, and like in the interview, they were talking about the fact that that's like one of the safest things to use because it's not about gender. It's not about who you are as a human. It's not about how you identify. It's just that, you know, obviously like everybody needs more love in their life
Mm.
anyway. And so that's why he uses love.
It's a
Mhm.
warm word.
It's
that's
it's a
great.
very, and so,
And he's talking about going home to.
oh yes.
Is it Edinburgh?
Yeah. He's
It-
from Edinburgh. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and he's talking about like when when I finally get in a taxi, he's like, and the taxi driver goes, "Where are you going, love?" He's like, "I'm home."
That's
Like,
cool.
why can't we all just share love?
That's
So
cool.
it's a cool little TikTok.
Because I am very much because I get it from my Meemaw. Like she calls everybody angel baby and sweet angel and you know all those things. And so I grew up with those like loving terms. And she calls strangers at the grocery store she works at, you know, babe and sugar
Yeah, sweet,
and
honey.
sugar darling and
My grandpa
honey,
used to say that.
you know, honey
Yeah.
angel and you know stuff
Well, you
like
being from
that.
Alabama, you're super southern.
100%.
Right.
100%.
And so like I grew up going, can I get something for you, sweetie? Or like especially kids, like if
What'd you say one time? And one of the servers we work with was like, you probably shouldn't say that. It was
sweetheart.
like sweetheart. Yeah, people. Oh yeah, she was like, people don't like to be called sweetheart. Sweetheart.
Jay Alexander's beat that out of us.
Really?
hmm no
Well,
y'all, no nicknames, no personality. You're not allowed to be an individual working there. I had a tongue ring and my hair was like white blonde when I started working there.
I can't even picture that.
And both of those things that's a no-go.
Yeah. Well, when I first started where we're at now, I just had my nose ring. I did have my septum.
You did.
And when we first started, I was told you will take your hoop out and you will have either a stud or a clear and you will flip your septum up.
Mm.
You're not allowed to have those because I was serving in the dining room. However, there was a bartender that also had a nose ring and she had a hoop in, and they never said a word to her. And I was like, what the fuck kind of double standard is that? So I just started wearing my hoop to work. I would still push up my septum ring. I was trying to be respectful. And I will say I have noticed that there are some tables, depending on like how old they are, or, you know, demographic that they are, like they will stare at my nose.
I think guests are getting barely more accepting of like different presenting servers, but
like,
you know, still you get some looks sometimes.
Like,
tattoos sometimes.
Everybody
Still,
like, you can't get a server, you can't get a real job if you get tattoos, and like I feel like everybody has tattoos now. But we had this one guy at Outback that worked, and he had a tattooed skull, and they're like, hey man, like we can't have you working here with that. So he had to wear one of those what do you call it, like the toupee, or is it toupee? Is that what it's called?
A bald cap?
Not a bald cap, but like it was a piece of hair.
like,
a toupee.
or a wig or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was like
So-
a hairpiece. Yeah.
So he had to wear a hairpiece, and it looked absolutely terrible. And he's like, he's sweating, and like obviously the hair is not soaking any of it up. It's just like all just dripping off the side. And it's like, he's like, dude, this is fucking stupid. And I was like, I mean, you did get a tatted head, and like
That was
like
and
that was
chose
your
to work in
decision.
the front of the house.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
we have so many tatted and
oh yeah,
crazy
we got some
people.
horns in the back of the
Oh,
house.
Christian, yes, he does have horns tatted on his like skull, or not his skull, obviously, but like his bald head. But
I just want to go on record and say I think it's awesome.
oh no,
I
I
was
love
saying,
it.
I'm all for it, 100%.
I mean, hello, I
Yeah.
have 4 tattoos
I don't
myself,
understand
but
why it can't work in the front of house, and I think it doesn't because of the tipping system. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Because
exactly.
we're thirsty for those. Like we're literally
we
just
gotta-
getting
we
paid by
gotta
the
present
guest. So
ourselves.
you have to present yourself a certain way, which also leads into some like maybe white guys that are just, you know, straight get tipped a little more than most folks. I have noticed that for myself. I feel like I tend to get better tip percentages than female counterparts, black folks that I've worked with. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it can work the other way. I don't know. You know, anyways, it's
Well,
complicated. but-
no, 100%, because there are days where
It's
I
tied up with the
notice
tipping.
like, oh, I actually, you know, have my hair looking cute and I've done my makeup
There you
and I'm
Women
working
talk
in the
about that.
bar, and, you know, so I actually do get better tips sometimes depending on who the clientele is, of
Mhm.
course.
100%.
Mhm.
But like, but I also, again, like I know how to work a table.
Mhm.
And I will say that
Mhm.
working in New York did help me with that, in the sense that, like, because of this crazy clientele that New York, you know, in Manhattan,
Yeah,
in Hell's
no.
Kitchen, like in the middle of
Everybody.
it all,
Yeah.
in the tourist district, like you have this sense of like being able to read a table to where
Mhm.
if
Mhm.
I wear my shirt this way, or if I
Mhm.
wear these tight of jeans, because the bars that I worked at in New York, like you could wear literally whatever you wanted. Like
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
you didn't even have to wear non-slip shoes. Like, you know, it just,
Mhm.
you literally could wear whatever you wanted, and within, obviously, be clothed. But I would notice that, like, if I wore a low cut shirt, I would get better tips, or,
yep.
you know, and
Hell yeah, girl, show them titties.
right. I mean, there
What's
are
that
days
TikTok?
where
There's a TikTok. It's a.
Hell
I
yeah,
can
hun,
imagine
get
it.
your
Yeah,
tits
I can
out.
imagine
That's exactly what
Is
it
that
is.
the one you're talking about?
literally in that accent,
Yeah.
right there.
Well, hell yeah, hun, get your tits out. That's the one. Yeah.
And so, no, but there'll be days where we look at each other and we're like, well, how low can this unbutton today? Because
It works, man.
we need to make that
You
extra.
don't think servers and bartenders are thinking about that? You're not thinking right. Like, yeah,
Right.
we I mean, yeah, that's part
Absolutely.
of it. That's part of it. I think about how I look when I walk up to a table. Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
How you present yourself,
Yeah.
how you're talking. You know,
You have to be very confident in that situation.
that too.
Like the more confident you are, these people are like, oh shit, this motherfucker knows what he's doing.
Mhm.
Like I had a table last night, and they're like, oh man, you were on your shit. And here's the thing, dude,
Drowning.
Yeah.
I was drowning. But here's
Make
how
it
bad
look
it
good,
got.
though.
I had all 3 tables on I got a 6 top. They had no menus, had to go get the menus. And then I had a little 2 top, and then I had to get their food in. They were ready to order right off the rip. And then I got 11 top at the same time. And that 6 top, I had all their food orders, drinks orders, everything. I selected everything. I hit the button next to dine in, which is done. And I thought I sent the food.
Mm.
I did not send the food. I was like, where is their food? And I looked at the computer. I was like, holy shit.
It happens.
And so the fact that I could recover that table so quietly, that like they were like, you were amazing. Thank you so much. And I was like, I'm glad the kitchen was fucking swamped, because
Yeah.
I would have been fucked.
Mhm.
But like everything
worked out.
worked out like how it should.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, I presented myself with confidence. I told them about the menu. I turned it around, even though that the food was late. And I was like, I even gave them a number to the red phone booth. I'm sorry this has happened. They're like, dude, you were the greatest server ever. Like,
Yep.
But did they tip you right?
They did. That's all.
But
They
they
did.
They did, actually.
How did they
Nice.
tip?
Nice. There it is.
Well, because like, God, my table last night, they were just, again, they were like, we're from Massachusetts. I was like, yeah, no shit. I can tell based on your accent. But
Yeah.
they were very loud. They were very domineering. They were very, and my coworker sat them and came up and was like, oh, whoever has 24, good luck. I was like, fuck, that's my table. God damn it. Like, it's the first table of the day, like, you know, and it's just like, and you just go up to the table and you go to like open your mouth to like talk. They just bombard you with words.
They don't care. They don't want to know your name. Nothing.
Right.
They
Well,
want, you're there to be a servant.
Yeah.
It's those kind of tables.
And it was just so weird. Like, we got off on the wrong foot, and then I got like double sat, and then I got another table, and it was just like, it just so much happened in like a short time span. And it was the beginning of the shift, and I was just like, oh my God, like, is this how tonight is gonna go? Like, you know? And then when I went up to the table and was like, hey ladies, I'm so sorry. Like, we don't allow outside beverages in here. So I do need to take your drinks. And they got distraught over it. This one woman did.
We're talking about little baby tequilas, Jacks. Whatever.
No,
They got
No, like
It
drinks
was
from
like-
like downtown.
Yeah. It was like
full
drinks. It
like
was like
cocktails?
drinks.
Like
I don't know. They were in like,
That's what I'm picturing. Yeah.
I'm
in your
assuming,
clear cup.
I'm
with
assuming
your
they
little red
were-
straws.
Oh yeah.
I'm assuming that they were in like hotel cups.
Mm.
But the way she was down in that cranberry, it was like there was something in it.
Hmm.
Like they
She got
made
a
it in the
UTI,
hotel
or
room.
she's trying to
It's like they
catch a
made their
buzz,
drinks.
like-
It's like they made their drinks in their hotel room and then like walked to the restaurant with them
Mm.
and then like came in.
Yeah.
But because everybody came in at one time
The host
yesterday,
didn't see it at all.
they didn't see their drinks. So all of their drinks were just sitting there. And I just politely was like, hey, like, I have your drinks coming from the bar. I do want to let you all know that unfortunately we don't allow outside beverages. So I do need to take those drinks from you. Well, nobody told us. Why didn't they tell us? And and I was like, ma'am, it's really not that big of a deal. Like, I'm so sorry they didn't say anything, but unfortunately I do have to take. And like the other ladies at the table were like, yeah, sure, here you go. Like, I don't care. And this one woman was just like baffled by it. And it was just like, why are you arguing with me? Like, you literally have an espresso martini almost at your table. Like, they are making it right now. And you're worried about this cranberry juice in front of you that probably has vodka in it. It's like, fuck, like, Jesus.
What restaurant lets outside
Right.
drinks come in? And not granted, like the host probably didn't see it, but like, dude, I'm not going into a restaurant with a full drink in my hand
Right.
because I know they're gonna make me dump it out. It's like TSA.
That would be
Absolutely.
like
Like
going
they're
in
gonna
a,
make you dump it
A
out.
lot of places have it
Yeah.
posted.
But some people, since we're talking about bad guests, they want you to, like call them out. Like they're just going to do it if you don't call it.
Well, because nobody checks them.
Just
Nope.
exactly. Or
There's-
vaping right in the middle of the restaurant, which I get it. I feel like I've been a part of crews that have done that somewhere before, but you just, you're not really supposed to be just vaping right in the middle of the dining room.
Right.
Big smoke
Well,
cloud,
also,
like,
it's not like this.
Everybody's like,
Like
Yeah,
you can't
exactly.
see.
Yeah, it's like,
you
what
can't
the
see the smoke coming.
yeah.
Like
Right.
Yeah.
There's
Mm.
also a difference between
As long
like,
as you hide.
right. There's also a difference between like Crapplebee's and like a fine dining establishment.
Sure,
or
100%.
what is supposed to be a
Yeah.
fine dining establishment. And it's just like,
You walk into Crapplebee's, it's just smoke filled
Right.
room, like from the 50s.
You
That's what
literally
it's
still got a
could-
smoking section.
Yeah.
for the longest
It's like a
time,
Waffle House,
No.
just
for the longest time, the Applebee's in the town where I went to college, you could smoke at the
Y'all
bar.
kept the smoking section
They
alive.
could.
Well,
Well,
it's like
I didn't.
it's like
but
literally
like,
it's in the back corner. It's like 4 booths and it's like wrapped off with a with
no,
a rope.
no, it was the bar.
Oh.
You could smoke at the bar top
Wow.
Really?
in the
I
middle
never
of the
served in
fucking
those
restaurant.
days. I never served in those
Me
days.
neither.
Smoking days, I guess.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Absolutely not.
Thank God, no.
None of us are old enough. Yeah.
Because I think in the 2000, I want to say 2000, in the 2000s at some point.
No, it was
No.
2010.
Was it
When
really
they-
that
It was
late?
like-
No,
Huh.
I don't know.
It was
Might have been.
when we
I
were
didn't start
it
serving
was
till
when we were
13.
like in high school,
Well-
middle school.
I was graduated, but
Oh my God, you
Heard
graduated in 2009.
but regardless,
like-
it was at some point like that they just banned smoking because I remember my stepdad working at a bar. He's like, oh, they can't smoke in the bar anymore. Now we have to have a whole patio area to like let them smoke
Well, and it was
outside.
per state.
Huh.
Oh yeah, that too.
It was per state.
And
It
the
was
fact that I lived on the state line.
yeah,
Yeah,
because like
Tennessee,
Missouri,
you could still smoke in bars.
Yeah.
It depends on the percentage of sales that's alcohol versus
Yeah.
food.
Oh, really? Because there are places in town where
mean,
obviously
Corner
you can
Bar.
smoke
I
inside.
go to USA
Melrose.
and Mount Juliet all the time, and that's
Corner
smoke,
Bar
smoke,
in
smoke,
Midtown.
smoke. Everybody's chain smoking in there all day.
Interesting.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Corner Bar does too.
Corner Bar in
Uh-huh.
Midtown.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
just-
Heard.
It just
Yeah.
depends.
gosh, I can't even go there. We have a whole bunch of coworkers that go there all the time, and I literally am like, I'm never gonna go there with you. I'm so
Dude,
sorry.
cigarette
I
smoke,
don't
I
like
can't
being
do
in
it.
the smoke cloud either. I'll do it every once in a while, but
Right.
like, yeah.
Well, there's also a difference between standing outside with someone smoking a cigarette and being in an enclosed space with not proper ventilation.
Sure.
Like-
Absolutely, yeah.
Sure.
Where it's like you go home smelling like an ashtray and you didn't even smoke. Like,
Mhm.
It's inevitable with that. My favorite question is like, what's my real job?
oh my
Like,
god,
I work
yeah. What do
25
you-
hours a week and I make more money a year than you do. What's your real job?
That is spot on. Yeah.
I work enough to pay
accurate.
my bills, put a little bit in savings, and live how I desire to live.
There you go.
And I do it in part-time hours. You work in
Literally.
50 hours a week at a job
Mhm.
you despise.
My brother complains
It's
about
no
it all the
time to
time.
live.
Job, hilarious. Yeah, exactly.
Like,
My brother's like, dude, I have a full-time job with the kids and insurance, and you're over here bullshitting with a serving job. I was like, well, that's a life you chose. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Also, you're not bullshitting. You're working hard. You
Literally.
worked for a long time in the industry. You trained me back in 2013. You've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
We aren't recognized for that. Like,
Right.
how many servers have you trained throughout that time? It's really more like an apprentice. It's like I don't want to make too much of it, but it's like an artisan. It's like a skill. You know,
Yeah.
you are performing an art for people that they pay for. It's
Right.
service. you
I
know?
would
Absolutely,
love for
100%.
you.
Yeah.
Well, and some of the clientele that we have to deal with, like I would love to see somebody who's never waited tables or
Yeah,
who
they'll fall on their
like
face,
thinks
yeah.
that they can do our job to like come in and deal with the people the way that people talk to you, the way that people treat you, like you're a second class like citizen. Like,
The help. They
They
called us.
Yeah.
They called us the help when I
Yeah.
worked at the
I
country
mean-
club.
no, that's what I'm saying.
That was my breaking point.
Yeah.
Oh my
They-
God.
I
Call me
would
the
love
help.
for you to do that and keep a smile on your face.
Mhm.
Keep your
Also,
calm,
while,
keep
like,
cool.
Serving 4 other tables just like you.
Yeah.
They think they're the only one.
Figure that out.
That think
Everybody
that they're
thinks
the
they're the
table-
only table that you're taking. My whole purpose is to come in and wait on this 2 top tonight.
Right.
I don't have 16 other guests I'm
Yeah.
dealing with at the moment. My whole life is you right
And it's
now. And if I
our
don't give it my all.
anniversary.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's our birthday.
Exactly.
You know, and it's
You're my
our
5th birthday tonight.
Yeah.
It's a bad
awesome.
cigarette.
Do you want a
Right.
blue candle or a pink one?
Yeah.
Like, I don't
Yeah.
care.
Oh, you're a bachelorette party. You're the 4th one tonight. That's
Literally.
great. Awesome.
So are they. Like,
Right,
you
yeah,
know,
like-
jeez
Oh,
Louise.
penis straws, real original. Never seen those. That's
Yeah,
cool.
like it's wild to see
Right.
like what we serve.
Well, and I
Uh-huh.
mean, oh my gosh, that's like 2 nights ago, my bachelorette party that I had to deal with. It was a 9 top table. They were all from California, which red flag right there. They were all from California, and I like started
like
going
what
to-
kind of California though? Like
Like the Valley Girl.
like not Valley Girls, but
Okay.
definitely like one of them had the attitude of like you're from California and you should
Okay.
just leave. Like
Ah.
you know how like some women from California, they'll go, thank you.
Yes.
Like,
yeah. Oh, most
It
definitely.
pains them to say thank you.
oh yeah.
But like I had one of those at that table. She was like, thank you. Like I was like, oh, you're fucking welcome. Like, Jesus. I just want to hit you in the face. Like, well, and the thing is they were all, except for that person, they all were very nice.
Hmm.
Like they were very nice. They were very sweet. They were very down to earth.
always
There were
that
a
one
couple
person.
lesbians at the
Mhm.
table. Like it was a great time.
Yeah.
Like, but when I tell you, again, the most California table, one of them's a vegan, one of them's a vegetarian, 2 of them are gluten
I'm
free.
experimenting with gluten. You know, it's always something. It's- yeah.
I'm gluten free. I'm gluten free. I have a mushroom and a sea fish allergy, and I'm trying to be gluten free. Like what? Like why are you out to eat?
Literally.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have a peanut and nut allergy, so I am
Exactly.
probably one of
Allergies
the
are a
most
thing.
understanding people in the restaurant when it comes to allergies and being accommodating for allergies. Because I mean, there's some people that are like, no, everything is cross contaminated, so good luck. You know, at least I'll go out of my way to be like, in bold letters, mushroom allergy, this allergy, blah blah blah, and like I'll make note of it, but. when I go out of my way to go like to each individual person and like completely customize an entire dish for you.
Oh, I took a picture of it.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did.
Oh
'Cause
my
I was like, this
God.
is
You
the
doing
most.
custom orders?
I was like, this
yeah,
is.
pretty much.
I was like, this is the most fucking ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Spicy marinara requests.
Like,
you know, like we want
obviously,
our
I
marinara
can't show this
spicy.
because of where we work, but like, you know how to read the checks. Look at that.
Sub marinara vegetarian mush allergy. That's just
Yeah.
for one dish. There's 3
Yeah.
lines of text for one dish.
Exactly.
The next
And
one has 4 lines of text for one dish.
when I tell you,
Jeez, oh,
when I tell you this and the one woman who ended up paying, she was like, "Oh, thank you so much for being so accommodating. Like you've been very sweet. Like, thank you so much. Da, 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 da." Again, verbal tipping, $980 tab, $100. I was like,
It just makes it not worth it right
just
there.
defeated
yeah.
because it was just like,
He can't even read it. He's like, what am I reading?
he's dying. But like,
I'm like, so this girl just wanted scampi sauce on some pasta. This girl needed
Not even scampi sauce, just
experimenting with
literally-
veganism.
yeah, she was vegan. And so but it was so funny because vegans don't eat eggs, but I'm pretty sure doesn't pasta have eggs in it? I'm pretty sure any
Pasta's
pasta
made
Pretty sure-
with
is
egg.
flour and
Yeah,
egg.
Like it's egg
It's-
yolk.
Yes.
And and flour. That's,
Yes, has to be.
That's
But, like,
that's
I
half of
even
the
said that.
ingredients.
Because I told her, I was
We
like,
got there.
we don't have a gluten-free,
Yeah.
like we don't have like a
we don't have egg allergy pasta.
a
Sorry.
vegan pasta.
Uh-huh.
I was like, we don't have like a veggie pasta, you know, it's linguine. And she was like, no, I'm okay with that. I was like, so you're not a vegan. Like that in my brain, like that's what I think. It's like, you're not actually a vegan because like you're eating pasta.
Same thing. Somebody who has an egg allergy, but will take mayo on their burger.
You,
Oh my God.
you know what's funny about that? This happened at Mellow.
Like
This lady was like, I am gluten free and I have a gluten. This is like at the craze of gluten, figuring out people
Oh,
are
yes.
gluten intolerant.
Mm.
And it is real. I will give everybody that, but don't just be like,
Celiac disease is
experimenting
real.
with gluten and I can't have it. So let me get a gluten free pizza. And then also, can I get that Miller Lite too? Thank you.
It's like,
Ma'am, do you know
come
what
on, man?
Miller's made with? Yeah, I'll regret it later. It's okay. So you're gonna eat the gluten free pizza and then just
Mhm.
regret
at
the
that
beer?
point, ball out.
Literally.
I mean,
like,
Right?
Just regret it all
Well, that's
later.
Technically, have a sensitivity to lactose.
yeah.
But
That's
I'm-
pretty special. That's
Right?
I just love the way you said it.
Well, because I don't admit it.
And most people don't, and like that's okay.
Marcus
You
just,
just keep moving.
tells me
Yeah.
I have it.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
my tummy hurts after you eat a grilled cheese sandwich. Like it's obviously the
Okay,
cheese
well,
that's hurting
yeah.
your
I
stomach.
wonder if it's the cheese. Yeah.
Or a pint of ice cream, like, oh, my tummy hurts. And he's like, yeah, no shit. Like, but
You just ate like a half a pint of ice cream.
right. There's it. And as someone who I get frustrated because, again, as someone who has a very severe food allergy, like I have a peanut allergy. Like,
Yeah, it's the people that are like, I'm allergic to tomato. Make sure it's not on my
I'm
stuff.
like, are you actually allergic or are you just
like,
not
is that
like
really
it?
is that really an allergy? Okay, all right. You know,
But you're
what-
gonna eat marinara. Like, no, that's
like one
not.
lady. I think it's because she didn't like garlic. I don't know if you can be allergic to garlic, but like
I mean,
you might be able. You might be.
I'm pretty sure you can be allergic to anything.
I think
Maybe.
so. There's
Yeah.
like an allium allergy too, which is like onions and like shallots.
Yeah.
And like I guess
Mm.
garlic would be in that as
That
well.
would make sense.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But she like.
Anyways.
She even said
she's
it, and I
an
wrote it
vampire.
on the ticket like that she's allergic to garlic, and they put garlic all over everything. I'm like,
Yikes.
you guys are killing me.
But I do think that, like, again, a client coming in and being like, I have this allergy, this allergy, and really it's just like,
You just don't like any
like
of
you
that
just
stuff.
I
don't
don't like
like
this food. I just don't trust you enough with your little server brain to make sure
Right.
it doesn't come on there. So I'm going
Right.
to tell you
It
I'm
So I'm
comes
gonna
across
tell
that
you
way.
I'm definitely
Yeah. You'll-
allergic.
At least pay attention that
Right.
way. Like,
It's like, especially like for people that have like a celiac disease, where like legitimately
Yeah.
it will fuck them up.
absolutely.
For you to be like, I have a gluten allergy, when really you're just stupid. Like you're just not eating gluten this month because
I wish
you
guests
read like wheat belly or something like that and decided
exactly.
that
Honestly,
gluten,
yeah.
Belly
you know?
monthly.
Literally.
Yeah, and decided that like gluten. Yeah. I just wish guests understood like we do take that stuff seriously, you know, because I think
Right.
sometimes they look at me like, you think I'm making this up. And I'm like, no, like I got you. We're going to make sure there's no gluten in it. And it's like,
Right.
there's not, I don't know.
Well, that
They
was
just don't
like
trust.
Yeah, that was like last night where I had somebody. They wanted a salad that had all these like different kind of veggies and stuff in it, and they were like, "But I don't want tomato. I don't want peppers. I don't want onions, and I don't want." I don't even remember what the other one was, but they were very specific, but then like said it to me 3 times, and I was like, "Okay, I get it. Like you don't want that."
Do you see me writing
I'm
this
literally,
down?
that's why I
I'm not-
have this
I'm not
little piece
drawing
of paper right
cartoons.
here.
Mhm.
Or like at the same time where, again, my lovely ladies from Massachusetts last night, where they were throwing shit at me and not giving me the time to write it down. They were
Mm.
like,
I
I,
feel
don't
like
want this. I don't want this. I
People
don't
do
want
that to
this.
get free
And then
meals.
somebody else will like start talking over. I was literally like, can you wait a second so I can write this down? Because if I don't write it down and it goes on there, like that's fucked on my end.
I literally if people start doing that, I'm like, can we first? Okay, cool.
Uh-huh.
Again,
Let them figure it out. No,
I
I'll do
literally-
that same thing.
They'll
I'll be
start
like,
talking
I'll be
over
like,
each other,
he's such
and
a
then
charming asshole.
and then I'll
Yeah,
just look at
just-
them.
or I'll
Like,
say like,
do
I'm
it.
sorry, I missed what you said, ma'am. That's what I'll say, which is very like underhanded, like shut
So
the fuck up.
passive.
Yeah,
Very
so I can
passive.
listen to.
So
uh-huh.
passive, and I
Yeah,
love
I'm
it.
sorry, I can't hear what you're saying because this idiot's talking. And I say that part, but you know,
That's the subtext
Yeah,
of the entire conversation.
But I mean, regardless, we are in the service industry, so we deal with it all the time,
all the time. Yeah.
and it's like we just have to. Like,
and we do choose to do this job.
yeah, we do.
We could quit.
Pretty lovingly most of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I love coming to work.
I feel
and, like,
gratification
Yeah.
by doing this.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just, it's those certain people that.
Yeah.
I mean, we're always going to deal with
Also,
assholes.
9
Like,
times out of 10, like, I don't come in for our clients. I come in for my coworkers.
literally.
Like,
I think of the dog in the like fire room, you know, like it's
Oh,
fine.
yeah.
It's fine. That's how I always think
Yeah,
of
yeah.
serving. I'm like
Right.
walking around with a tray, like trying to look pretty. It's fine. It's everything's on fire, you know.
yeah, because I mean, when it comes down to it, like we do choose to do this job. Like we 100% could go out and we could
It's
get
the
9 to
money,
5s.
though.
But at the same time, it's like 100% like clients need to also remember that like you chose to come here too. Like you chose to eat out instead of staying at home and cooking your meal. You chose to come to a restaurant where someone waits on you instead of going through the drive-thru at McDonald's. Like
Yep.
you go like if you're going to come and you're going to be served, then you need to make sure that you're also like treating your server like a
Mhm.
human being.
Mhm.
And, you know, tip your server.
Tip your
Oh my
server.
God, tip your server for
Tip
the
your
love
server.
of God.
Please tip your
And
server.
And I'm sorry, we also need to talk about the fact that 20% and above is what you should be tipping your server.
That is
Now-
that
nowadays.
is standard
Because
for
9
sure.
times out
100%.
of 10, 9 times out of 10, it's not your server's fault if something happens to your food, or if something's wrong with your food, or something's wrong with your drink.
And
It
that-
is the bartender's fault, or it's the kitchen's fault. It's
Yeah.
not your server's fault.
Now, if it is your server's fault,
And the
5%
one
max.
time,
Right.
exactly.
A penny.
The
Like
one time we do forget something or like forget to put it in
Right.
order, like which happens, whatever.
it's like a
The one time out of
7% drop
10,
right up there.
Yeah, it's like it's so savagely met. Like, yeah, there's no mercy
and
in
if
that at all.
nothing
It's
else was
yeah.
wrong,
Exactly. Yeah, the rest of the encounter.
God forbid you're a human and you
Yeah,
make a
forgot
mistake.
something.
That's not
Yeah.
allowed. We're not allowed.
It's
that.
not allowed to
You're
do
We're
supposed
not
to be
that.
allowed those.
perfect.
We're not allowed those
No tip for you.
luxuries.
Yeah.
Right?
Like,
So we'll just continue to deal with assholes.
That's
But
right.
I appreciate you guys
100%.
coming
Yes,
coming on
thank
today
you guys
Absolutely.
so much
Thank
for
you.
coming.
and doing this.
This is awesome.